Hi, this is Mrs. Rodriguez with another lesson video. Today we're looking at how to graph points on the coordinate plane. So let's get started. Before we can start graphing points, we need to understand the parts of the graph. So first of all, we have the x-axis, which is the line that goes from side to side. Okay, that's my x. It goes side to side, left to right. Okay. The other axis going up and down is my y. So this is my y-axis. So it goes up and down. Now there are four quadrants. We have quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Okay, so think of it like going counterclockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, each of these quadrants are a little different because if you'll notice in quadrant 1 you have all your x's are positive and your y's are positive. So you're going to have a positive x and a positive y. But in quadrant 2 you'll now notice that the x's are negative and your y's are still positive. And then in quadrant 3 you have negative x's and negative y's. And in quadrant 4, you have positive x's and negative y's. And you might think, okay, so what's the point of knowing that? Well, that takes us to the coordinate points. You will be given points that you have to graph, and your points will consist of an x and a y that's either positive or negative, and you need to know where on the graph to graph them. Okay, now coordinate points can look like this. Let me change colors. You can have something like 2 and 3. And what you need to remember is the first number is always your x and the second number is always your y. And the way it works is you find your points on your graph and see where the 2 points meet. So x is 2, so here's my 2 for x. Y is positive 3, here's my positive 3 for y. And you follow the lines until you see where they connect, and that's where you put your dot. Now, you will notice that I put dots leading up to it. You do not do that for your final answer. I'm just showing you how I got to that point. Okay, but you don't put the dots leading up to it. You don't put the dash marks. Okay, you just put the finished point. All right, another example. So that was an example for quadrant 1. Let's say your x is a negative now and your y is a positive. Well, you do the same thing, except now you're going to be in quadrant 2. Your x is going to be negative and your y is still positive. So I'm going to put little dash marks to show you how I'm finding the point. And you keep going, following both lines until you see where they meet. And they meet right there. And now I'm taking out my dash marks because you don't need them. Okay. All right, so here's my negative 2 and positive 3. Here's my positive 2 and positive 3. Okay, in quadrant 3, they're both negative, so it would look something like this, negative 2 and negative 3. So you do the same thing. You find your negative 2 for x because it's your first number, the negative 3 for y, and you follow the line next to the 3 and below the 2 until you see where they meet, and that's where you put your dot. And then once again, you don't use the dash marks. You just put the dot. Okay? All right. And then last but not least is an example from quadrant 4, and this is where your x is positive, but now your y is negative. Okay? Same thing. Positive 2 for x, negative 3 for y. And I follow the lines until I see where they meet. They meet right there, and that's where my point's gonna go. Okay, and let me clean this up. So this one was my negative 2, negative 3, and this one is my positive 2, negative 3. And as you can see, depending on what quadrant the point is in, will determine if that x or the y are positive or negative. Okay, so let's take a look at another example. Plot the points below. So here we go. We're given 5 points to plot. Remember, X is the one that goes side to side. Y is the one that goes up and down. So for the first one, I have 2 and 0. I'm going to go ahead and change colors. Okay, remember your first number is your X, your second number is your Y. First number is X, second number is Y. Okay, so my first number is 2. So that's my X, so I'm going to find 2 on my graph. And then Y is 0. Well, 0 is going to be right here where they meet. So if I follow the 2, which it's not going to go up or down because the Y is at 0, right? I follow where they would meet, and they would actually meet on the 2. So there you go. This is going to be my 2, 0. Okay, so that one's done. Now we have -3, 4. So X is my -3, so I'm going to find my -3. Y is +4, so I'm going to find my +4. And once again, I'm going to follow the lines until I see where they meet, and they meet right here. So that's where I'm going to put my dot. And remember, you don't leave the dash marks. You just put a dot. I'm only showing you the dash marks so you can understand how I'm finding the point, but you don't leave them there. Okay. The next one we have 5 and -2, so X is always your first number, Y is always your second. So I'm going to find +5 for X and -2 for Y. I'm going to follow the lines until I see where they meet, and they meet right there. Okay, so this is going to be my 5, -2. Now I have 0, 4, so now my X is 0, which is here. My Y is 4, which is here. Okay, so if I follow the lines, they end up here on the 4 because X is 0. So this is going to be 0, 4. And then last but not least, we have +7 and +9. So here's my 7 for X. Remember, X is always your first number, Y is always your second. And here's my 9, and I'm going to follow the lines until I see where they meet, and they meet right there. Okay? And this is going to be my 7, 9. All right? Okay, let's look at another example. Now here's another example, except now you'll notice the points are not written in point form, right, as coordinate points. They're not side to side in parentheses like here. Now it's in a table. Yes, they can sometimes appear in a table. And the way this works is the very first number listed is your X, and the second number listed is your Y. So what you want to do is you want to pretend that there's that comma here and that your parentheses are like this. That's essentially what this is. It might be in a table, but you still do it the same way. X is your first number, Y is your second number. Okay, so don't forget your X is side to side and your Y is up and down. Let me go ahead and change colors. My first number is +6. My Y is +2, and I follow the points and they meet right here. Okay, I like to put one finger on the X, one finger on the Y, and run my fingers until they meet. Just follow the lines above the 6 and next to the 1 and next to the 2 until they meet, and then just write my dot in there. Okay, so this is going to be 6 and 2. My next one's -9 and +4. So here's my -9 for X, my +4 for Y, and I'm going to run my fingers this way for the 4 and up for the 9 and see where they meet, and they meet right here. And I get -9, 4. Okay. Next, I have -7, -8. So I'm going to find my -7 for X, my -8 for Y, Now I'm going to follow the lines until they meet. So I'm going to go straight down following this line for 7 and straight to the right, or I'm sorry, the left following the line for -8 until they meet, and they meet right here. So here's my -7, -8. And then last but not least, we have +10 and -5. So here's my, +10 for x, -5 for y. So I'm going to follow this line for x, follow that line underneath the 10, and then I'm going to go to the right on the 5 and follow that line until I see where they meet, and they meet right here. So this is going to be my 10, -5. Okay? All right. And that's how you plot points. Now remember, your points can either be in a table, which remember, you still do the same way. X is your first number, Y is your second number, or they will be given to you in coordinate points, where X is still your first number and Y is your second number. Now this is just plotting points. Do not connect the points unless you're told to do so. Okay, so you will notice I didn't connect any of these points. I wasn't told to connect the points. But if you are told to connect the points, maybe it's something where you're doing an image, a mystery picture, then you would connect the dots, right? But in this case, we're just plotting points, so you're not connecting anything. You're only putting the points on the graph. All right, and as always, if you have any additional questions or need extra help, feel free to make an appointment with me during office hours. Hope you have a great day. Bye.